Guys, I underestimated this Jackson Hole move. Just have a quick listen to this.
I'm old enough to remember 24 hours ago when we got the Fed minutes, and they were fairly hawkish. Now we get this speech, which is fairly dove-ish. But what happened between the Fed minutes were from a meeting just a couple weeks ago? We kind of feel like we're all over the place. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was the perplexing thing. And Powell spoke 3.5 weeks ago and didn't tip his hand to any of this. And then the minutes, as you say, reading through it, most talked hawkishly within that meeting. And so there was no sort of hint. And that's why the rate cut odds were only 66% going into today. So they kind of fooled us. And maybe Powell just woke up on a different side of the bed this morning and changed his speech to being more dovish than hawkish.
The market did not expect such a dovish Powell to come out at Jackson Hole, and most of the market were actually expecting down or neutral, right? Negative or actually hawkish. And the market really, really rallied. So I posted on X saying I underestimated the Jackson Hole event. I should have put more trades on. I potentially should have used more leverage. Now I think about it, it was similar to the Kamala and Trump trade. Very high chance of a big move up or down, depending on what Powell said, because it had so much attention on it. What's the next event like this? So if you guys can think of any other events that are coming up like this where we might get a massive market move up or down. I love these A or B plays. It's very similar. Do you remember when we had the Kamala trade and I posted saying, it's a very simple trade. If Trump wins, the market will pump alts and BTC, very easy longs. And if Kamala wins, the market will dump alts and BTC, very easy shorts. Please note, this will not be a short where you can just waltz in an hour after the decision. You're going to have to be on the ball, basically. And yeah, Trump went on to win, and the gains were ridiculous, right? I made over $90,000 on BingX. I made over 50,000x long in BTC on MEXC. I made around $250,000. Even Peanut was pumping. Render, $41,000. It was crazy. And I probably underestimated this Jackson Hole move. I could have made, I could have gone and put $100,000 on this and made $200,000 in a day. So, pigs get slaughtered. I guess you've got the NVIDIA event that's coming up. So you've got NVIDIA earnings on the 27th, which is a big event. And that may move the market, but it's not quite as big, right? So, and of course, Jackson Hole was nowhere near as big as the Kamala move, right? That's why we were really set up for this. I did post in my Discord saying Jackson Hole event is about to start. If he's dovish, market may pump, and if he's hawkish, market may dump. So if you're not into stocks, dovish is bullish and hawkish is bearish. So, we had a clear A or B decision, right? If Powell comes out bullish, probably going to pump, go into long positions. If he comes out hawkish, we're probably going to dump and, we stay in our short positions because we're already in shorts, expecting potentially Powell to come out bearish. And then I post saying the notes are bullish. So first of all, before he even starts to speak, we get to see the notes, right? So that's key to sort of understanding what the flavor of the event might be. And the notes were bullish, which was good news. So I posted that. And then we started to take trades. So I'm just going to let you guys know what trades I'm in right now. So, of course, on the BTC and ETH shorts, I was expecting more downside. So I took some profits the night before the event. So I took 25% off the BTC and ETH short. So they were up in some nice gains. And then I moved my stops to entry. Okay, so very, very key. I'm always moving my stop losses to entry so that I can't lose any money. It's a free bet. If the market tanks, I'm up huge. I'm making lots of gains. And if the market goes against me, as we did see it do, it hits my stop loss and I've already taken that 25% profit. So whatever happens, I've already won. I can't lose. And I'm always about putting myself in that position where I can. And I've done that again on the current move. So first of all, moved stops to entry, took profits. And then Powell came out bullish. So when I posted here saying the notes look bullish, I kind of jumped in a bit early because the notes looked bullish and the tone of his voice was also bullish. And so I jumped in a little bit early and I opened along on BTC on 40x leverage around 113,634. and it really rallied. I think it went up to 117. It moved so fast. I put on quite a large amount. For me personally, 1%. The S&P also started pumping. Now, how weird was it? The S&P started to pump before Powell started to speak. Even before the notes were released, the S&P started to pump and inflow started to come back into Bitcoin. So there was some leaks somewhere. There was some news going around as it started to get front run. And that can also be another bit of confluence that we can look for. I prefer to wait for the notes to come out, but if I see the S&P pumping and I see the notes, it's going to give me further confluence to actually take quite a decent long position. I also opened a long on ETH on 19x. Not too bad. I could have done 60x like I've done my degen trades before and made a lot more money. And we got in around 4.346. And where is ETH? ETH went up to 4.8. So really pumped. We got in around here, 3.6. So you see when it broke this trend line, this downwards resistance line here, resistance, resistance, resistance. We started to break through this. Crazy. We'll talk about this chart because it is crazy how it played out. But we started to break through. We got in around 4.3. So we got in around here. Plus you had the breakout. This is the technical target, this line I drew the other day. If you break out of this resistance to the upside, and we came up to the exact technical target. And what happens when you hit the technical target? Sometimes people will take some profits off the table. We'll come back to this chart because I'm going to talk about where I think that might go next. So they moved up so fast, I started to take some profits. So I took 25% profits off the table, moved stop losses to entry. So again, I moved my stop losses to entry so that I can't lose any money. Okay, so I took some little profits off the table, moved my stop loss to entry. So whatever happens now, if it does do this, I can't lose. I've already won, right? I always want to keep putting myself in the position where I've already won and I can't lose. Because what happens to greedy pigs? Those who didn't have a stop loss down here would have been liquidated. They would have lost their entire trade. They would have lost everything they placed. All the gains they'd made, they'd have been lost. What happened to everyone who took profits and set a stop loss? They won, right? What happens to everyone who took profits on here and set a stop loss? They can't lose, right? It's constantly about putting yourself in that position where you can't lose. So I took profits on that. TP'd more profits, so I did actually take some more profits off the table. And then I ended up taking even more profits off the table. So let's have a look at the trade. So my ETH long was, at the time when I screenshotted this, was $5,644 in profits. I'd already banked 3,526. So whatever happens, I think it's more than that now. It might even be 5,000. Whatever happens, that's money banked. That's in the bank. I can't lose that. And, maybe I decide to close this trade out. It depends on the news. We're going to have to see how the market opens up tomorrow. I'm still holding it open for now. I think we are going to see upside Monday. So tomorrow, potentially even tonight, as Japan opens tonight. So keep an eye on Japan. That's going to be a key one. Watch how Japan opens tonight. BTC was in $12,500 profit, and I've banked $10,000. So absolutely crazy gains. That was in one single day. So in one single day, I was up 10, 22, 25, 28, almost $30,000 off a single trade. A single trade, right? I said it here, Jackson Hole is about to start. If he's dovish, markets will probably pump. And, $30,000. So that's how powerful these events can be, right? If we're taking these trades on these events, that's why I'm so interested in these A or B events where, we have a scenario. Trump might win. Okay, I'm going to go long. Kamala might win. Okay, I'm going to go short, right? It's an A or B where the price is likely going to move a lot. And then I can actually try and turn my 10K into 100K or my 100K into 200K. I'm getting closer to wanting to take a 100K trade, guys. I'm not going to lie. I could have taken a 100K trade there and made, $150,000 in a day with a stop loss where I can't lose. So I am getting closer to taking a 100K trade. This is probably around 10% of my portfolio, which, I shouldn't really trade with. But time and time again, we keep nailing these pivot point events. And, if we get another one of these A or B decisions, I'm going to have to take it because no risk, no story. And it's still only 10%. So look, if I set a 20% stop loss, so if I set a 20% stop loss on one of these decisions, I'm only risking 2% still, right? So I'm trading with 100K, but I'm only risking 20k. And I mean, look, if I was trading with smaller amounts, because I know a lot of people don't have 100k to trade with, you know, if I was trading with 10k, maybe I might take a big risk and put 10k on this trade, and then I risk losing 2k on that trade, right? So, or if you're trading with 1k, maybe 1k is a big trade to you, then you have a 20% stop loss. You're only risking $200, but your 1k could turn into a lot, right? So I am gonna take a 100k trade. It does need to be a nice setup. It does need to be, you know, I really want to see one of these Camela A or B decisions, because that was a crazy opportunity, and I made a 10x, right? So if I had of taken this trade with with 100k, I would have made $1 million in a very short amount of time. I think it was maybe a month or 2 months. So, you know, I am going to take that trade at some point. I just want to make sure that it is a really nice setup. So yeah, took some profits. Guys, I still have decent size on here, but look, I've already made a lot of money in profits. So I'm going to hold this trade open for now. I can't lose. Big up everyone who took the trade. Big up Gino. He took the long, 69%. On this was early, so it went even higher actually, because it went up to 117. 63% on BTC, 84% on ETH. GG's, bro. I took some more profits. It went even higher. Look, yeah, 138% it went up to. Lovely gains. And TP'd 50%. I love that. You didn't get greedy. You know, you didn't go higher. You took some profits off the table. Now you can't lose. Now the rest of the money on is a free lottery ticket. Really, really nice gains, guys. And big up Beba as well. Said nice calls today. He actually long Sol on 30x as well. What else did you long? You long Sui. Oh, when BTC and ETH move up like that, you are probably going to see altcoins move up fast. So, yeah, good play, Beba. Really nice. So where do I think ETH's going right now? I think we're going to have a final shakeout. Now, what happens when you get these big parabolic candles to the upside is you get a lot of FOMO. A lot of people would have FOMO'd into longs here at all-time high. A lot of people would have FOMO'd into longs here. You know, only if you're tracking the market and you're on the ball, you would have really got in this early. So a lot of people would have FOMO'd in late. So we might come back and try and flush a lot of these longs, because I do think the market is going to open up green tomorrow. We're going to talk about why I think that's potentially going to happen. Actually, I'll tell you now. Bar chart posted saying when the Fed cuts interest rates within 2% of stock market all-time highs, the S&P 500 has gone on to finish higher over the next 12 months, 20 out of 20 times, with a 100% hit rate. So we've never, ever seen it go down or end up lower after the Fed cut rates so close to all-time highs. I'm a man of data. I love data. I don't like to bet against this times different, especially when it's 100% hit rate, right? And, you know, rate cuts is going to help more money flow into the market. I don't think it's good long term, okay? So let's not confuse that. I don't think it's good long term. I do think short term, it's good for the markets. And we might even get a 50 basis cut. It might not be a 25 basis cut, so we don't even know how much is going to be cut. So I think there is a lot of longs in the market right now, and they might come back and try and flush out some of these longs, but it's going to be very hard for them to get the price back down here after a bullish pow, right? After a bullish pow, the market now has a lot of things to look forward to. You know, the market's probably going to see multiple rate cuts, and you know, it's going to be very hard for them to get it back down here. If they can bring it down back here, I might even add to my position, guys. I might actually add, because I think it's going to be very unusual to just come and flush these previous lows, because down here the market expected, as we've just watched on the video, right? The market expected a bearish power, a hawkish power. Now we have a dovish power. It's very hard to come back below these levels. There's also going to be a lot of interest in actually loading up on Ethereum if we're going to go into a dovish power. And around the interest around Ethereum, right? So Tom Lee's probably going to buy more. A lot of the institutions he works with and has partnered with is probably going to buy more. We're probably going to see a lot of buy pressure going into next week, as we are starting to see on some of these altcoins, right? Solana now apparently doesn't want to drop down, because I'm not in a long position. Solana has decided to actually hold up. If Solana comes and scam wicks people, which I think it might do, then I'm probably going to get into a long position on Solana too, because that's something I'd like to long into the ETF, but I'm not going to long this pump. So yeah, ETH is consolidating just below all-time highs. This is bullish, guys. It's consolidating here. just below all-time highs. This is what you want to see. We've pushed up. We tried to test it. We had a correction. This is where we opened a short position, right? We pushed up from such low levels that, you know, it was highly likely we were going to get some sort of a cool down or correction. We came into this descending triangle, and the triangle has broken to the upside. But how savage is this? It broke to the downside, and usually the technical target when you break to the downside is going to be around here somewhere, right? It broke to the downside, sucked in a lot of traders into shorts, because as you should, right? You lose support. What do? You don't take longs when you lose support. You take shorts. And a lot of traders would have taken shorts here. And then it just completely came back up to the resistance, back to support, retested it, came back and flushed out the last bunch of longs, and then sent to the upside. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, when you hit the target, you do often get a pullback. I mean, you could do a Fibonacci, right? So we could actually run a Fibonacci and do a Fib retracement from this move. So let's say it came back to support, it pushed up here, and then it came back down. So you could say, let's do it from the bottom of the move. So the bottom of the move was here to the top of the move. So look, a Fibonacci retracement could actually bring us back into these levels here, this golden ratio zone where I said I might actually add more to my position. This would flush out a lot of the late longs as well. So a lot of the late longs, especially those on high leverage. I'm not saying we're going to come back down here, guys. I think it would need, you know, there would have to be very little buy pressure to get down here, and I think we might see a lot of buy pressure if we do push into these levels. But this is where I would be interested in allocating more to my position. Not spot, as you guys know, I bought spot around $3,000. I saw the price was moving. We had a buy signal from the SMC bot, so I added to my spot position around $3,000. But my leverage position, I got in around here, and I've already taken some profits off the table. So if I do add to my position, it's only going to be free money that I've already just won from this ETH long anyway, right? And then I'll probably have my stop loss below these key levels. I'll post where I put my stop loss in the Discord, because I don't really want to be everyone to stop hunting us. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at on ETH. On a macro, something that worries me is it's now becoming very confusing, right? If the last 12 months that this has turned out bullish, when the Fed have cut, when stocks are around almost all-time high, what happens to this chart, right? Because this has been phenomenal for the bull and bear markets on Glassnode. And every time we've come up to the green, this is the unrealized profits, by the way. Every time we come up to the green, we've gone into a bear market. And every time we've gone into the red, we've gone into a bull run. Okay, so you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to trade this or understand this. You know, you buy in the red, you take profits in the green. You buy in the red, you take profits in the green. You buy in the red, you take profits in the green. Where are we now? We're in the green, right? We're in the area where most people lose because they get too bullish. So everyone gets bullish around here, and they get wrecked, right? Everyone gets bullish around here and they get wrecked. And it's the ones who get bullish down here in the red, when extreme fear hits, when everyone is losing their mind, when everyone says crypto's dead, it's over, it's going lower. The biggest one is the bulls start to say it's going lower. You know, that ends up being the bottom, and we reverse and we push to the upside. So, you know, this chart, I'm not sleeping on this chart, and we see the same old headlines every cycle, right? Back here, Michael Saylor was saying Bitcoin's going to 170,000, and it was, the price of it was actually 60 or 70,000. Now what do we have? Tom Lee saying Ethereum's going to 15,000, and we're in this same range where we're used to seeing these headlines. People have said Bitcoin's going to $250,000, and we are at $115,000, right? So yeah, I'm not getting sucked into it just yet, but it is a bit worrying or concerning that we are about to cut rates and stocks are at all-time highs. You know, how is this going to end? And it does confuse the situation, because if stocks can go on a massive rally here, what happens to Bitcoin? Because we know that it's historically supposed to end it could end in the next few weeks, guys, and it's supposed to end in the next few months, right? So it could end in the next few weeks to months. And also the chart is asking for it. I mean, look at this chart, right? It's been up only since 16K. People are more bullish here than they were down here, right? Even Michael Saylor is buying more up here than he was down at these levels, right? And we see the same thing happen every cycle, and it eventually collapses. and people wish they had just taken profits to buy the dip to add some cash. But the trend is your friend, right? The trend is your friend until the end. There's no need for me to panic and sell my Ethereum until the trend shifts, right? And the trend hasn't shifted. We're in an uptrend. So just, if the music's playing, we keep dancing, guys. There's no need to panic for me personally. I can set trailing stop losses. I've already taken a lot of profits out of this market, as you guys know. I started to sell my altcoins around all-time high, so when Bitcoin hit all-time high, and I started to sell some more around 100K. So look, I might as well stay in. I've already won. I've already taken a lot of profits. I've already bought a property. I've done pretty much everything I wanted to do this cycle. I might as well stay in and dance. Now, if you're 100% in and you haven't taken any profits, that's a completely different situation. You're not in the same situation as me. Maybe you held your altcoins down and maybe they're down 70, 80%. You just kept holding and hoping. Personally, that's not the strategy I want to take, and I'm going to sell early next cycle as well. But yeah, maybe you're in a different situation. Hey, this is my situation. I've already taken some profits off the table. Where do I think we are going to bottom? This chart has been phenomenal. CVDD has been phenomenal. Every time we've came to this orange line, it's marked to the bottom of the market. And if you bought around this orange line, you changed your life, right? You bought here, you changed your life. You bought here, you changed your life. You bought here, you changed your life. I think that when we get close to this orange line, it's going to be the bottom of the market. But something is changing here, guys. Look how aggressively the orange line is moving up now. Look how aggressively it's moving up compared to how slowly it moved up last cycle. Now, it did move up quite fast, but nowhere near the steepness of this move here. And it kind of almost says to me we're moving up too fast, too aggressively here. And, there's a saying that stocks take the stairs up and the elevator down. Well, what happens if you take the elevator up, right? I'm going to assume you take the avalanche down at some point. So every time we came back to this, we bottomed. Look at the last couple of times though. Can you see it just got front run? So people are obviously looking at this kind of data and they're setting buy areas, right? So it just got front run. So it doesn't have to touch this line. And I would argue, given that we have massive institutional adoption, we may even front run this by quite a lot. So I'm not going to be greedy. Just as on the way down, guys, pigs can get slaughtered. They can wait too long. Look at Gareth Soloway. He kept saying Bitcoin's coming to 10K, and he actually started to short the market heavily down here. He started to short Solana. When we were buying Solana at $23, he actually started to short it. And I think most of his trades got liquidated here around all-time high, and he lost an absolute fortune. So, in probably one of the most obvious areas to buy. So yeah, pigs get slaughtered just on the way down. People can get too greedy and they don't buy, and they hope for lower prices, and they try to get cheaper, and the market will really run. It doesn't care about you. The market will really run, and buying at 16K and 60K is a completely different return area, right? You're losing out. I mean, if you bought at 60K, you haven't even made a 2x. You haven't even doubled your money today on today's current price, right? So it makes such a difference when trying to time the bottom. You can't time the bottom, but trying to get close to the bottom is key. Just as Solana, right? We wouldn't have made a 10x. We bought at $23. Where did it go? $300. We wouldn't have made a 10x. Same on Pepe. We wouldn't have made a 10x on Pepe. We wouldn't have made a 10x on Casper. Render. We've made many 25x's, even some things 50, 100x, and it's by being patient and not getting FOMO up here, not getting sucked in up here. This is profit taking range for me, right? We came into this green at all-time high. I took some profits off the table. We had another peak here. I took some profits off the table. I'm now waiting to do my next profit taking off the table, and I don't know when that's going to be. But I'm just going to continue to ride the trend. They're cutting interest rates. We know that this is historically bullish for markets. Is it going to be the first time that they cut rates and the market tanks? It's possible, right? There's a rumor going around that rate cuts are actually going to be the top of the market. Hey, have a strategy for either outcome, because it's definitely possible. But I'll go with the data and I'll just ride the trend. I don't need to panic sell right now. I'll just ride the trend. We're still in an uptrend. If we break the trend line, if the bull run trend line gets broken, then it's over, right? For me personally, I've never seen the bull run trend line break and it actually continue straight into another bull run. As soon as that trend line breaks, it's over personally. So yeah, interesting. Notice how this is almost at 40K, guys. I don't think we're ever going to go below 40K. I think a lot of people are actually going to try and buy the Bitcoin bear market this cycle. They're not going to have the data. They're not going to be analyzing the data like we're looking at it. They're going to be waiting for 40K, and I don't think they're going to see it, right? They're going to be waiting. Let's say 40K is down here. I think they're going to get front run this cycle, and I think they're going to be blown away by the new floor price this cycle. And, if Bitcoin continues to rise here, so is the floor going to rise. And it might even be the case, if we continue to rise here, let's say we do continue to rise into next year, I don't think that's going to happen, but let's say we do, this orange line is going to get higher and higher, and it might even get up to 60, 70K. So if we want cheap Bitcoin, we ideally want this to come back and crash as soon as possible. The longer it keeps climbing, the higher the price is going to be. Guys, if you want to join my Discord, if you want to see my buy and sell alerts, if you want to see these setups that we're taking, if you want to see the trades, jump in the Discord. You can see in here we've got leverage trades. It's not just me. There's a professional leverage trader in the Discord as well. So we have a professional leverage trader who gives buy and sell alerts. You can see down here. Pro setup ideas, trade logs. He posts the trades he's looking at and setting up, and actually he's posted a setup recently that I agree with. He said we might have a scam wick here to try and flush out longs and then potentially move to the upside, and I know I agree with him, so I'm quite cautious about that. And I'm getting ready to add to my position if we do see that move to the downside. I might even set a limit order because I don't really want to go to sleep tonight, and they try and flush us out. So yeah, if you want to see this portfolio, I mainly do in the bear market. So if you go into my portfolio, you'll probably see stuff that we've just been selling and taking profits from. So I buy altcoins in the bear market, and then we're in a bull run round right now, right? People keep saying what altcoins you buying, guys. I don't buy altcoins up here really. I buy down here in the red. I'll take some bets in the orange and yellow. So my strategy switches. I'll buy long-term altcoins down here. So altcoins that I think can do well into the bull run that I can happily hold for 12 months, like Solana, Render, Caspar. We got down here. What were my main altcoins last cycle? BNB. We got BNB at $50. Where is it today? I think it's like $900 or $800 or something. BNB, Matic, ADA. Sold them all. I don't hold things into a bear market. I sold them all. But I'll pick. In the bear market is where I buy the low-risk altcoins. I'll usually pick 3 or 4 low-risk, and I'm pretty almost set on what I'm buying in the next bear market. I'll pick 3 or 4. I'll pick some high risks, like I got Pepe this bear market. What else did we get that was high risk? I can't remember. Pepe done a 10x. I don't really buy too many altcoins up here. The altcoins I buy in the orange zone, yellow zone, are altcoins that are doing well, that are new, that have pulled back a lot, right? So on this pullback, when we took some profits up here, on this pullback, we went back into SUI, right? We went back into SUI. It pulled all the way back to like 0.85. We went back into SUI, and then we sold it up here in this green spike, right? We went back into the green, and we sold it around $5, and we ended up shorting it. So that's kind of how I trade. I'm an adaptive trader. I don't just, oh, you're bearish, you're bullish. I'm a trader, guys, right? I do hold altcoins in the bear market. So I load up on altcoins in the bear market, and I just hold into the bull run. And what do I do in a bull run? I sell, right? Altcoins, Render had done a 25x at this green peak here. It done a 25x, 2,500%. And all I did was hold, right? I didn't sell it. I was holding it. And then I'd made huge amounts of money, and I took some profits off the table. So yeah, I don't really want to be buying at historically the worst time to buy altcoins. This is where, for me, this is where the lower risk play on altcoins is made. When they're down 99%, when they're down 99%, how much more can they come down, right? They can only come down another 1%, and that would be at 0. That would bring them to 0. So when they're down 99% and everyone is saying crypto's dead and we've got all of the bearish headlines, that's when I'm interested in loading up. What am I doing up here in the green zone? I'm just leverage trading. Most of the time, I'm just going to leverage trade, right? You've seen there is still colossal amounts of money to be made. I made more money here leverage trading than I started with in crypto, right? Then I started with this cycle. I made more money from one single long position, which was very easy. I even put easy. Very simple trade. If Trump wins, the market will pump, alts and BTC will go up, and I made more money than I started off with in crypto this cycle. phenomenal. Changed my life, changed my portfolio. This is obviously not just these 2 trades. I had other trades on. I had the longs on altcoins as well. So yeah, I don't know if it was $500,000. I don't know how much I made. It was over 250,000 that I made just on that long. And there's going to be more opportunities. I mean, look at these trades that I've taken on the Jackson hole. $30,000 in a day, right? It's a lot of money. I used to make that a year. And to make that 30,000 in a day is crazy, and it might even go higher, right? I think Ethereum might even go higher next week, and maybe it pushes to $6,000. Maybe I make a few $100,000. You've got to be in it to win it. So yeah, if you want to jump involved and you want to get involved with us, you want to see my buy and sell alerts, head over to my X. So head over to my X here, type this one in, not the top one. Click the link. So click this link. This will take you to my page. And then there's a Patreon link. So there's a bunch of bubbles of different pages. There's a Patreon link. Click the Patreon link, and that will take you to my Patreon, where you can jump involved and get involved with us. It's a monthly fee, guys. So look, if you don't like it, if it's not for you, you're not signed up for a year. I'm not trying to trap anyone into a membership. If it's not for you after a month, you can leave at any time, right? So you don't have to stay. But many of our guys have been with us for years, and we've been killing it. Are we going to win every trade? Absolutely not. We're not going to win every trade. But tracking the smart money on chain, tracking all of the recent trades and activity gives us an advantage of the market, seeing what they're doing with their stable coins, seeing the assets they're buying. Look, ETH inflows 9.36 million. 54 receivers in the last 24 hours. So I can already see the smart money are buying Ethereum. So am I going to panic out of this short position? No, I'm going to add more to it if we come down. I'm going to add a lot more to it. So yeah, it kind of gives us an advantage on the market. And I think if we weren't tracking this on-chain data, there's no way we would have been as successful as we have this cycle. We've made some good calls based on TA and technical analysis, but we're very fortunate that we're in a market where we can actually see this on-chain data. You can't see this in stocks, right? You can't see in real time what Berkshire Hathaway are doing with their stocks, what Michael Burry are doing with their stocks, but we can actually see what institutions like Wintermute, for example, are doing, what they're buying, what they're selling. We can see if Coinbase are dumping. We can see if Binance are dumping. For the first time in history, we're able to see what the smart money are doing, and we're able to see what the insiders are doing. Instead of playing us, we can play them. So yeah, also guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to see more of these videos, like the YouTube video. If we can get more likes up, it's going to help the algorithm. It's going to help me get more views, which means we can build the group, which means I can take on more traders, and we can expand this. Drop a comment. Let me know where you stand on the market. Guys, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. Investing in crypto is highly risky. You can lose all your money at any point investing in anything. This is just my opinions. And yeah, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. Drop your comments below. I'm interested to see what you guys are doing, what your thoughts are on the market. Are you long ETH? Are you bullish on ETH? Yeah, I'm waffling. Until then, I'll catch you in the next one.